Hello, everyone. I am Claudio Murgan, the host of the Spiritually Inspired podcast, and my guest today is Tanya Penny. Tanya is an intuitive guide, divine channel, healer, and author of Connect with the Divine You book and journal. She teaches, empowers, and supports you to fully love and be yourself, heal your body and past trauma, and wake up to the powerful co creator that you are by using her mind, body, spirit methodology. For 25 years, Tanya experienced anxiety, depression, pain, and had issues with weight eating disorders. In 2004, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. That was her first wake-up call that were some deeper issues in need of love, attention, and release that medications, lifestyle changes, and medical interventions could not touch. It wasn't easy. She had to peel back the layers and really look into herself. And it wasn't quick, it took years, but she healed. Tanya believes there is a place and a time for Western medicine. But if you are 100% committed to healing all areas of your life, then it is time to tap into your soul's journey as well. Now, she teaches the therapeutic meditation process and the 10 keys to a vibrant body and abundant life, trusting that they will find their way into the hearts and lives of those who need it and are ready to go deeper on their journey. Tanya, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for our conversation today.
Yes. I will start by noticing one of your statement that disconnecting from self is number one cause of illness of the mind and body. How did you reach that conclusion?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say that my journey into this kind of deeper place that I'm in right now started when I was diagnosed with MS in 2004. And that would be, I call it my dark night of the soul, some of you might call it, or my first wake-up call, as you mentioned. And, you know, the biggest thing that I came to when I started that journey was just how disconnected I was from who I truly am. And that is everything from what I felt, right? My emotions, to what I really wanted in life, right? Compared to what everybody else told me I should want, what my parents thought I should want, what society thought I should want, to the disconnection. I'm going to call it self-rejection. That many of us maybe were aware of it, maybe not, but just those parts that growing up that others rejected, and now we are rejecting of ourselves. And one of my biggest parts was my body, as you know, you mentioned when you read my bio. I had a lot of body hatred, given the experiences that I had growing up. And I know that a lot of other people, especially women, I know men experience it too, but you know, we all have rejection of these parts of ourselves. And one of the big ones, I think, is of the body. So yeah, so I think because of these past experiences, yeah, we have disconnected from these past quote unquote negative experiences that we've had growing up. And some people might call them traumas. Some people might call them wounds, you know, kind of whatever word you want to use. But ultimately, these experiences have caused us to be disconnected. And then you're going to get a wake-up call at some point, like I did. I think a lot of my clients get, I don't know about you and the people that you work with, but a lot of my clients get a wake-up call through having an illness, you know, like I did. And this causes us to go deeper.
And you mentioned also the side effect of the medication for the multiple sclerosis and how harsh that was on your body. But you are one of those that for doctors are considered a lost cause. And in spite of the dreadful feelings, you came back, and you are not the only one. There are many like you. So in spite of so many success stories, why do you think doctors are still disregarding this type of holistic approach to wellness and health?
Well,
And the
it's
medical
because,
system in general, I mean, yes.
yeah. And, I was so by degree, I'm an occupational therapist. So I was in the Western medical system when I was diagnosed. And, the first 3 years I did use, and I'm not saying to anyone out there to not use Western medicine, right? Like there is a time and a place for it. And those of us who are similar to myself, we are going to be called to go deeper, right? So still to this day, there is no MS medication that they say that can completely heal you, right? And at the time when I was diagnosed in 2004, it was only 30% effective, right? And the side effects were awful. But really the short answer is, I think they are coming around, especially for those of us that are here now being the bridge. By 2010, the MS for me was gone. And my neurologist at the time was, of course, surprised. And she's like, well, what did you do? And I was like, well, it's kind of a long story. Why don't you go to my website? Because I started to realize I was called. One of the reasons my soul called for this experience was to share it with others and be the bridge to Western medicine. Right. So I think doctors now are coming around more than they were back in 2004. In 2010, when I was considered completely healed, all the lesions, I had 80 lesions in my brain, and they were gone as of 2010. And it woke my neurologist up. She actually started sending me people, right, to work with. And so I do believe, I mean, it's a great question, but why? The answer is because that's what they were taught. And I do think that is shifting right now on the planet. And it has been for some time, but I think at this point, it's getting really strong right now, that they're acknowledging, Western medicine is acknowledging it's not just, something out of our control, that there is a root mind, body, spirit cause to every single illness.
So in other words, yeah, sooner rather than later, they will have to acknowledge it and embrace it somehow.
I think they are, and I think a lot of times, I feel a lot of times it's when they go through their own dark night of the soul, right? When they go through their own illness, they're going to start realizing that, oh my God, this isn't working, right? Like just Western medicine doesn't work. That I'm being called, right, to go deeper, to look at those past wounds and traumas that are still stored in my body, right? The emotions and then those limiting beliefs and fears we took on from the wounds and traumas, that they're still in my body. I think people are waking up to that now, that there's more to this, right, than just, that it's just some random act.
Yes, I mean, we can see that you radiate energy and health. That's for sure. And have the diet and nutrition been a big part of your recovery?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So on my journey, I saw that there were 10 keys that I needed to look at and make some changes in order to fully heal my body, and also just to create the life that I want. And one of those keys, and I tell everyone this, one of them is nutrition. Absolutely, nutrition and movement are one of those 10 keys. They are not everything, though. And I think that's what a lot of people focus on, what we've been conditioned to focus on first, right? Whether it's healing an illness, whether it's weight loss. And nutrition and movement are important. And again, I'm going to say that we have to actually go and connect with the body and ask the body what it needs, versus doing what everyone outside of us, right? The diet, like you got to exercise this way, 60 minutes a day. It's really about connecting with your body and listening to the body and asking it, right? What is the food that you need? What are the supplements you need? And what movement would be beneficial for you right now to heal? And it can be confusing because it can change day to day, right? And I think also it's confusing because when information comes out, like this is the diet to be on, this is the type of movement, this is how much you got to do it. And we are not one size fits all.
Yes.
Right? Every single body literally on this planet is different. So even the medication, like, I still believe, Western medicine has a time and a place. I had a colonoscopy and an endoscopy last week, not pleasant, but my family has a big history of cancer, colon cancer. And I could say, oh, I'm just never going to get it because I'm at this enlightened place now. But the truth is, I don't know that. Right? So we still want to be smart. We still want to take the steps. And the thing that was interesting to me is they gave me for the prep, like, I'm 150 pounds. They give the same prep to someone that's 250 pounds.
Wow.
Right? So I think it's like that one size fits all mentality. That's one thing that we're really being called to shift. Right? I think everybody, whether you have an illness or not, we're being called. This feels like a really important message. Do you mind if I go deeper into this?
Please go ahead.
So it's like this guidance is coming through me that I meant to share with you guys, that we have been conditioned to be like everybody else in order to fit in order to be liked, in order to get love. And of course, it started with our families. Right? And so now we're adults, and here's the deal. No soul on this planet is meant to be like any other soul. Right? And that includes our bodies, right? Our soul picked the body that we're even in right now, how we look and how we talk. And, really every part of us, our gifts, our talents. And so I believe that one of the reasons why we do have illnesses is to wake us up from this one size fits all mentality. Like it's not the way it's supposed to be. And unfortunately, that's what we're conditioned to do. And now this is the deconditioning of that, right? And for many people, it is the wake-up call of an illness, but it could be something else. It could be a breakdown in relationship, career. I had all those too, right? So everything affects everything.
Yes, indeed. And another important intake of our bodies is water. So I always try to mention to friends and family that watch the quality of water you drink. Exactly. And you never know. In fact, you have to change the quality of the water you drink. And in Hawaii, you have a wonderful company there, and friend who makes these blue glass bottles engraved with powerful messages like love, gratitude, empathy, and various symbols. And those bottles will change the quality of the water we drink. But overall, on a daily basis, even a reverse osmosis water filtration system can help put some minerals back into the water we drink.
I'm so glad you brought up water. Water is so important for so many reasons. And it's funny, I just moved to Hawaii in July of this year, and I was thinking, oh, the water's got to be great. Within a month, I noticed something was off with my GI system, and I was like, what is going on? So I actually got a water tester, and our water was over 500. I think it's called I can't remember but it was over 500. It's supposed to be 0. And so, yes, one of the water filters, so zero water filter, I live by it now. But yes, the water that you drink is hugely important, and the amount. So many people are not drinking enough water, right? And water is so important to getting toxins out of the body, whether it's toxins from our environment, right? Our food, or toxins from those limiting beliefs and fears and emotions that also need to be released. right? So water is so important. And like, our body's made up of 60+% of water.
Yeah, 70 plus, yeah.
3 plus. And this is also a great time to weave in. You said how your friend puts loving messages, positive messages.
Yes.
When we are talking, whether it's the bottle we drink out of, which is just a reminder, right? When they see the message, but how we are talking to ourselves on a daily basis, that is energy, right? And that is impacting you. One of my favorite teachers, Carolyn May, says you can't heal a body you hate. I did not even realize all the negative messages, right? Those limiting beliefs and the not good enough stuff, the self-hatred, which all of us have to some degree. I didn't realize how bad it was till I was diagnosed with the MS. So that was one of my, one of the things, like realizing when I started to connect more with myself is, oh my God, the way I talk to myself, no wonder the MS was created in my body,
Yeah.
right? That self-abuse that so many of us have, that negative self-talk. I think that's, another piece. So I'm glad you brought up the water, because right away I was like, ooh, we got to bring that up too.
Yes, and you know what? I'll give you another example. The water is traded as a commodity on the stock exchange. And we just mentioned that we are 70% water. So if we have to draw a parallel between these two statements, we treat ourselves as a commodity. We belittle ourselves. So we really have to bring that dignity back into water and dignity to ourselves and who we really are.
Self-respect, self-importance, self-worth.
Yes.
That's a whole nother piece. That's one of the other keys that I work on big time with people. Again, given our past wounds and trauma, most people on the planet, regardless of the wound or trauma, took on this belief that I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not worthwhile. And if you hold that belief, even 5%, the way that you talk to yourself, the actions you take, the way that you treat yourself and allow others to treat you is going to reflect that, right? So, if there was one thing right now that, if you said, what is the one thing that the MS taught you, right? And that you want to share with everyone, it's the power of that self-acceptance and love and releasing that self-judgment, because it drives all of our actions, our words, our thoughts, our actions. It really, really all comes back to that, is shifting that belief and healing whatever wound that was that caused that. And many of us have lots of wounds that added, right? That kept building the not good enough block tower that most of us have right now that we're knocking down.
Yes, thank you for sharing. Tanya, you confess that what stopped you from taking at one point the MS medication was a voice in your head. Do you still communicate with that voice? Have that voice been identified in a way with a label, a name?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I was diagnosed with the MS, I would say at that point, I was 29 years old and I'm 47 now. I did not believe, I grew up Catholic, and it wasn't for me a very positive experience. I know for some of you maybe that are Catholic or Christian, it is a positive experience. So I'm not, putting that down, but for me, it was not a positive experience. There was a lot of judgment, punishment, that kind of thing. And so when I turned 18, I was like, I want nothing to do with that. And at that point in my life, I did not know that there was another option. I had never heard of spirituality, right? I didn't know religion and spirituality didn't need to be the same thing. So I went without I guess a belief that there was something bigger than me for a very long time, until that was one of the gifts that the MS brought me, is that all of a sudden I had this voice. It was about 3 years after I was diagnosed in 2004. In 2007, I went to give myself a shot of the MS medication that I took every other day. And it wasn't pleasant. It was like I had the flu for 24 hours every time I took it. It was awful. I couldn't do much. Wasn't helping at that point anyways. And I went to give myself the shot of medication, and I heard this voice. And it said, put down the medicine. We are going to show you a different way. And I don't know why I listened. Like at the time, I did not believe in anything. But I did. I listened. And I put down the medication. I told my husband at the time, I told my neurologist, like, I'm not going to take this medication anymore. And it was really tough. Nobody except some of my alternative healers at the time were supportive of that. And I would say from that point on, I just started to, I didn't know I was doing it, but I started to go deeper into connecting with something bigger. First, I called it nature, like I couldn't do the G word. Now I'm fine with God and Jesus and Mother Mary. And, you know, I have a really big divine team, something bigger team, and higher levels are what I call them now. And so it has expanded quite a bit since 2007. And I'm really grateful for the MS and, you know, just all the other experiences I've had since then that have called me to go to this deeper level of, and I've just recently, which is why this interview is so perfect right now, I just went through another huge upgrade with my team and with just trusting. Because we can intellectually say we believe something.
Yes.
I don't know if you experience this as well, but we can intellectually say, I know I'm supported. I know I have this something bigger, higher level, whatever you call it, God, Buddha, you know, I know I have this like support from something bigger than me, but yet to fully embody it, I think that is one of our, besides self-love, this is one of our biggest lessons, challenges, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, in this life is remembering and fully feeling and embodying and just knowing at the deepest part of our core that we are so loved and supported. Like sometimes it makes it, like lately it makes me want to cry thinking about it. Like coming from a place as a child where I had like, I felt no love and support, right? Growing up with an alcoholic father, sexual abuse, mother that was mentally ill, undiagnosed, you know, they're both kind of off in their own worlds. And when they're in my world, they're not very nice people. So I think a lot of us, you know, that's another reason why we don't believe that we are so loved and supported, is because we didn't get that as children. And our parents really do represent that as children, don't they?
Yes, indeed. And like other guests, they mentioned that we have to break through this shell, which we build upon layer since childhood. And we reach a stage in our life and an age where we have to break it open, let the love coming in, and then offer love and gratitude for what we receive. And I understand that it's very hard, especially for those who, like yourself, didn't have a happy childhood and a lot of pain and unhappy events.
Yeah, I mean it is, and yet it is one of the, you know, this is one of my big teachings lately, is that remembering that we have a soul, number one, and that number two, we are powerful, right? I asked for my parents. right? My soul's journey, right? I actually, my soul chose all of the experiences I've had in this lifetime. So a big piece of us being able to move past this is to remember that even though we were victimized and had these, you know, and I work with clients. I mean, my experience was not pleasant, but I actually work with clients who've had even less pleasant experiences than myself, right? Awful, awful things. But I think one of the things that we're meant to embody and that pulls us through is remembering that we are a powerful soul that has chosen everyone and everything in our life. Number one. Number two, stepping in and learning how to be that divine parent. I call it the divine parent, the divine mother and father that most of us didn't have. And stepping in and being that for ourselves now, right? So showing up for that wounded human part of us. So we have our soul part, we've got our human part. And so if we can come in with the strength of knowing that we chose everything, but then also showing up and supporting that wounded part of us to heal. I mean, those are our two biggest, besides the self-love and acceptance piece, right? That these are the two pieces that, you know, I think really need to be focused on right now. I wish they taught it in school, right?
They don't
Not
teach us
yet.
in school a lot of things.
Not yet. But, you know, so many of us have, when the wound happened, right? So I'm thinking of my initial, oh God, I had so many, but, you know, one of my initial wounds, like my mom and dad weren't, well, they were part of the wounding, right? They were the people that were doing it. And there was no one to support me with what I was feeling, right? No one showed up for me and let me express my sadness, my fear. So what do you think happens? We store it in our bodies,
Yeah.
right? Along with the limiting belief or fear that we picked up along with the wound. And so when I say show up as that divine parent for yourself, one of the things that I've had to learn and that I teach my clients to do is emotionally, right? To be able to show up for that part of you emotionally and to validate the emotions, right? To acknowledge the emotions, to validate them, to really allow yourself to feel it. Because unless you do that, like we can talk spirituality all day long, we can talk soul all day long, but until you really feel in your body, and that's going to be hard for a lot of us. I disassociated from my body from a very young age, and the MS actually brought me back in my body. The weight issues brought me back in my body, right? The pain that I felt, the GI issues that I experienced, like all of it forced me to be in my body. So I think that's going to be true for a lot of you listening to this. So like, just know that that's why the physical stuff has maybe felt so bad, is it was meant to bring you back in your body. And so you could finally feel and release that wound, that trauma, right? That fear that's stuck in your body, that anger, that shock that we could not deal with when we were 2 or 6 or 8 or 10 or 29, right? Like a lot of us learn how to do this, and it's never too late. I mean, I have clients that are in their 70s, and it's just never too late, right? We're all on a different journey. We all have a different timeline as to when we're going to wake up.
Yes, and as parents, all we can do is to eliminate trauma from our children's life and try to understand them and address the issues you just mentioned. And if they have a better start in life, at least they might be trauma they will accumulate at the different stages in their life, but at least is not initiated during childhood and because of us. And that I think will still alleviate some of their long-term potentially issues.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up. I actually just had a client before this interview, and I believe he's in his 40s, and we were working on he has potential throat cancer. And so he wants to take care of it right before he goes and gets his biopsies. So we've been working on healing the wounds that have been stuck, in his throat. The wounds, throat chakra has to do with self-expression, expressing your truth. And he was sent away at a very young age because he was sick. And as a young child, we don't know we make up things because we're not told, and we don't know why, we don't understand. And so we worked on healing that. And then at the end of the session, he said, oh my God, I had so much deeper clarity. Like, I'm doing the same thing to my son that my parents did to me. Right? It looked different, but it's the same thing. His son would express sadness and he would shut him down. And he's like, oh my God, I need to stop doing that. Right? I need to let him express his sadness. Otherwise, he's going to grow up and just be just like me, like with the same issues I have. So yes, as we're waking up, and again, please don't judge yourself or beat up on yourself for any negative stuff that your children have gone through. Because again, their soul asked for you to be their parent, asked for every single experience they've had with you up until this point. But the cool thing is, like you said, is now that we're waking up, and I do work with a lot of people that want to be parents, they're like, please help me take care of my wounds before I have children, so I don't carry on, right, that ancestral pattern, because that's what it is.
Yes.
Right. So really, any illness, anything is an ancestral pattern that's been passed down, and or it's been from a past life, right? Brought forward from a past life. So yeah, as we wake up, so I guess that's the beauty of this, is the sooner we wake up and do this work, then we're able to share that and offer that to our children. But again, don't beat yourself up, right? That's the last thing we want to do.
Yes.
Back to water stuff is beat ourselves up for anything, right? This is all a beautiful, like, everything has exactly happened the way it's meant to, as part of your soul's plan, as part of your soul's journey. So that self-criticism's got to stop.
Yes,
right?
and
Just
it's
be grateful. Be grateful that you woke up when you did.
exactly. And it's said that in today's society, we don't have time, or we don't want to take time to address these wounds, and we think that they are trivial. And I know at 50 there is no point in, or 60, or even 45 is no point in doing that. But as you said, you have clients which are 70 and they want to have a much more positive end of life, or live a much smoother life towards the end of it, just because they understand these problems and they eliminate the trauma. So I don't think it, as you mentioned, it's not late at any point in your life to address it, because you are going to transition to a new life, and why do you want to carry all this baggage with you in the next one?
Oh, bingo. I just got the chills when you said that. So yeah, we are here. Everyone who is alive and listening to this right now, whether, whenever you're listening to this, we all chose to come to this planet right now at this time in life because we have the opportunity to clear out as much as possible. I mean, there is so much divine support right now. And yeah, we don't want to carry it forward to another lifetime. So we are here to clear out as much as possible in this lifetime. Guilt, shame, blame, anger at ourselves and others. I mean, that is truly one of the biggest reasons that we chose to be here at this time, because it is such a powerful time to be able to do that. We are so supported to do that. So yeah, what's that saying? An old dog can't learn new tricks. Like, that is such crap. Like, literally, it doesn't matter how old you are. And one of the other things I'm really seeing is people that are younger are starting earlier. And I say earlier because I was in my late 20s. I mean, I'm getting clients now in their early 20s. It's like, holy cow, like, it's amazing. And then I have people that are, yeah, like my grandparents' age. that are waking up, right, before they leave the planet and clearing out more of their stuff. So when they come back, if we choose to come back, right, in another life, it's our choice. If we choose to be on the physical planet again, but that we come back and we're not carrying as much baggage. Like, isn't that exciting? Like, if you can remember every trigger you have right now in your life has been put there for you to clear out. So a trigger is just bringing an awareness to you that there's more gunk to be cleared out.
Yes.
Right? So when you get triggered, you want to ask yourself, oh, I wonder what wound this is connected to from my past. And yay, how can I? I mean, it doesn't feel like yay when you're in it, but here's the thing, our soul is very excited for this stuff. Like, it enjoys this. Our human part, not so much. But if we can, that's why if we can stay connected to both, that it's easier to move through our triggers. It's easier to heal these wounds that we're here to, to heal on a deeper level. And I wish there wasn't so many levels, but, as I shared in an email with you, like, I was healed with MS in 2010. For 8 years, I had triggers, I had things, but 2018 brought me to my knees again. I had another dark night, my second awakening, I'm going to call it, which I'm just at the end of now and coming out of my cocoon. But yeah, I did. I don't know if you're familiar, and I had never known about it before, but I guess you can call it a psychedelic called Combo.
Mm-hmm.
Most people know about the plant medicines.
Yes.
I was never really called to do any of those, but I was called to do Combo, and it's frog poison, like Amazon frog poison. And have you done it before?
No, but I'm looking forward to.
Oh boy,
I didn't do that yet. No, that one I
yeah.
didn't.
If you get called to do it, oh boy. Anyways, yes, it's not pleasant, but it only lasts for about an hour and a half. And that was what brought up more past memories that I had buried so deep, that were related. I went in with the intention, I knew that I had still a deep distrust of people, and I didn't know why. And I wanted to know why, right? Because I want to heal that. I know I'm here to connect with people and I have a bigger message, but I knew something was holding me back. And so I was called to do that. I didn't want to do it, but my soul knew I needed to do it. And that's where the awful memories came up from childhood with sexual abuse with my father, and then betrayal of an abuse of my mother. And that took me down, a whole nother deeper. And again, when I was in the middle of it, man, it sucked. Right. I mean, there were times even that I was like, I can't do this anymore. It feels so bad. I just want to end my life. And then I was like, no, we can't end our life yet because we've come so far. We don't want to give up now and have to come back and relive all this shit again. So for those of you that are going, and I'm sharing this because I want those of you that are going through something really bad right now, please just remember it is part of your journey and you're going to get through it. Like, don't stop now. Like, the only way forward is through it. And I think a lot of us, when we have, again, these really painful emotions and memories come up, that child part of us couldn't handle it. That's why we repressed it, right? That's why we stuffed it. But now, remember, you are a powerful adult. You're a powerful soul. And now you have the tools and you have the support, right? I'm that for many of my clients, right? I'm stepping in as their divine parent and providing them that support until they can do it for themselves. So I think that's really important to help you through it, right? Is that now you're capable, now you have the tools, now you have the support. And so many of us, you've heard the term wounded healer, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people probably listening to this fall into that wounded healer archetype. I know that I could not support my clients the way that I do if I hadn't gone through my first awakening, my second, the MS, and now this deeper, sexual abuse healing, betrayal from my mom and verbal abuse, like all that stuff, right? So much more has come up for me that I get to share with my clients now, and that I can have this deep compassion for them. And they say you can only be with someone's emotion as much as you can be with your own.
Yes.
Right? I mean, so I can really sit with some really bad stuff because I've done it for myself. Right? So everybody here, you're probably meant to do that for yourself so you can do it with other people. Right? Whether you're getting paid, it doesn't mean you have to be in my position or your position where, you're out in the public. It doesn't have to be that, like, that you're getting paid to do it. It can be that you're able to do it more for your children, right? Like the client that I spoke about earlier that I saw today, who was able to be with his sadness on a much deeper level today. And so now he can show up and do that for his son. Like, how beautiful is that?
Yes. Yes. Thank you for
What a
sharing.
gift.
You mentioned that you recently moved to Hawaii. Were you guided to move there, or what was the reason?
Yeah, interesting question. So I came to Hawaii for the first time in 2004, the year I was diagnosed. I was diagnosed in September 2004 with the MS. December of 2004, I came to Kauai, which is one of the islands. And when I was there with my now ex-husband, I was there and I said, this feels like I've never felt at home before. Like, I grew up in Wisconsin, and I grew up with, I told you kind of some of my family history, like that did not feel like home.
Yeah.
I have moved around to Arizona and Idaho and California and Florida and Montana. I've been searching for home, but I remembered in 2004, I felt home. And I even said to my now ex-husband, I said, I think I'm to live here. And he said, oh no, that's not possible to live in Hawaii. Like, that's just not possible. And so since 2004, I've come every year, 1 to 2 times a year. I hold retreats here for my clients. And last March, this just 2022, me and my new partner were flying home from my birthday trip in Maui. And we both looked at each other and we were like, why don't we just move here? I'm like, we can both do our jobs. Like, he's a golf course management. They've got tons of golf courses here. My work is virtual. Plus I do some occupational therapy part-time to bridge Western medicine with what I do. And so, yeah, we were both guided. I mean, I've always been guided to live here, but I was just never with the right person.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's divine timing, like when we're meant to. And then once we decided that, it happened really fast. Like, everything just kind of unfolded. He got job interviews, a house, a place fell into place, a vehicle, like everything just, weirdly enough, when you follow your soul's guidance, you're going to be supported in the biggest ways. Like, when you're meant to do something because everything falls into place. It's relatively easy. Right? Like, I mean, we still had to sell everything, or we chose to sell everything, but yeah, there were steps to take, but yeah. And since we've been here, it's, I mean, a deeper healing has occurred here as well. I didn't know this, and maybe you did. All of the islands correspond with a chakra. Did you know that?
No.
I did not know that till I moved here. And one of the healers here that I started to work with, because I had so one of the things that happened when I moved here is my deep wound of feeling alone in the world, because I live on an island, right? We didn't know anybody here, just me and my partner. Like, my deep wound of feeling alone in the world, like I did as a child, came up so deep. I got such a bad sinus infection. My back gave out. Back has to do with support, right? From a mind-body healing perspective. And yeah, it was crazy. So I realized I'm on the island of the root chakra. The big island. That is the island of the root chakra. One of my healers brought that to my attention. I was like, holy cow. So of course, all my deeper root issues, right? Not feeling like I belong, not feeling supported, feeling alone in the world, going to come up. And so, yeah, that was not pleasant, but I knew what was happening.
Yeah.
Right. So as you grow in this awareness, like when things happen like that, it doesn't feel good, but you know that it's happening for a reason and that you're going to get through it. Right. It's a deeper release. So I'm so glad you brought up Hawaii.
And in fact, I want to ask you a question which I ask all my guests who live in Hawaii. Have you met Pele, the spirit of the island, or her manifestation any way up to now?
Yeah. So my island is Pele, and the goddess of desire. And believe it or not, I don't know if not everyone watches the news or this part of the world, but it just erupted. It has not erupted since the 80s.
Yes.
So she just erupted a week ago today. And even before that, I was really feeling, so ever since I moved here in July, the seismic activity of the volcano has increased every day, up to 100 earthquakes a day. So there is no coincidence, I don't think, right, that I'm here right now on the island at this time. So yes, I connect with Pele, talk to Pele, ask for her support. Yeah, even before the eruption. But since then, it's like, holy cow. And my guidance has erupted even more this past week, and like to take action on it. So again, this is a very timely interview.
Perfect. And Tanya, I'd like to go into your therapeutic meditation process. What exactly involves and how do you work with your clients?
Yeah, so the therapeutic meditation process was something that I created in order to heal myself. And it takes you through 9 self-connection areas. So it's helping you to connect with 9 different aspects of yourself and your intentions, your desires. It then comes into connecting with the body. First the breath, then the body, and listening to the messages your body has for you. Then it helps you to connect with emotions and feel, acknowledge, feel, and release them in a healthy way. It also helps you to work with those limiting beliefs and fears that you hold, and helps to shift those, right? So to show up for that part of you, that wounded part of you that has that limiting belief and fear, and then helps to plant that seed of truth. Like, what is true now? Right? What do you want to be true now? Because you know that we choose whatever, we can choose our beliefs.
Yes.
Right? We can choose to believe whatever we want, but most of us don't know that until we wake up, till now. And then it helps you to connect with your divinity, right? Your soul and your, what I call your divine team, your something bigger, your higher levels. So in a nutshell, it's guiding you through connecting with all those different areas, those different parts of yourself, accepting them, connecting with them, and then shifting anything, releasing anything that no longer serves you, right? So it's not serving you to hold on to anger. So your anger might have a really good message for you, right? And we need to validate it and acknowledge it, but we don't want to continue to hold on to it. Right? So I teach that no emotions are negative. We just don't want to keep holding them in the body because they're hurting the body, right? As they build up, they're hurting the body. And our limiting belief or a fear is not wrong or bad. It's just, do you want it? Do you want to continue to hold on to it? Right? Or would you like to change your reality? Because our beliefs create our reality, what we attract into our life now. Right? So a great example of that is, my dad was a cheater. And I didn't realize I held a belief that all men are cheaters. But of course, a man, right? Your father represents all men. Your mother represents all women, just the way it is. And I kept attracting men that were cheating on me. And I was like, what is going on here? And I was like, oh, I'm holding this belief. So it helps you to shift whatever belief, right, that you're wanting to shift, whatever fear you're wanting to shift. And so it's a really powerful tool. You don't have to sit like you can lay down, you can even fall asleep to it because it works even better sometimes when you fall asleep. So it's different than a lot of other meditation. You can fall asleep. It's very restful. It's very energizing, and it works deeply on the subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I think we need conscious tools, and I think oftentimes we need tools that also work on the subconscious, and either in even unconscious levels, right? Things that we don't even know that are lurking, right? So in a nutshell, that's what it does. And there's a guided meditation, and then you can use each one of the tools or areas separately as well. And my book, Connect with the Divine You, actually goes deeper into explaining the therapeutic meditation process for those of you that are interested. And I have a journal out that also helps with those. And journal number 2 is coming out with new daily affirmations and other stuff in it. So that might be a great resource for some of you who want to go deeper into that.
Wonderful. And are you thinking of doing these methods and approaches in organizing retreats on the island, or you want to do it only online?
Oh no, I've been doing retreats since 2014. With Connect with the Divine You, the therapeutic meditation process. So yeah, since 2014, and every year I've pretty much had one on an island. I usually went back and forth between Maui and Kauai. The next one is scheduled for Maui in April of next year, which is still during whale season. So that's another powerful, reason to come that time of year for the retreat. Is the whale energy is so healing. Right? It's just amazing to be in the water with them and hearing them, just like dolphins, right? They have huge healing energy. Yeah, glad you asked.
And are you thinking of reaching out to the indigenous, shamans and wise people in order to include some of their knowledge into your programs as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've already been connected with, of course, a couple of healers here. One who grew up here, and her father was the medicine man on the island for a long time, and he passed and handed everything down to her. So
Kahuna?
pardon?
Um, his
I
name
don't
is,
know. I
yeah,
don't know his name. Do you know his name? I didn't ask what his name was. Do
it
you
was
know
a
it?
very famous one, which worked with Hank Wesselman for a number of years, and Hank and his wife. And I think he passed in 2014, maybe 2012, 2014, if I remember correctly, in a silly car accident. But he was the wise man of the island, so very
Yeah.
revered on that in that
Island?
yes.
Wow. Okay, so you just gave me more information. Yeah, she didn't give me a lot of information, but just that, yeah, her grandfather had passed and left in his will her all the healing tools. And so yeah, it's been amazing. She's been a really big piece of my deeper healing on the island here for sure. And absolutely, I plan on incorporating at least having her do individual sessions with people if they want to when they come to the retreat. So she's a body worker. She's got lots of talents. So yeah,
Very
absolutely.
nice, very nice. Tanya, we are approaching the end of the interview. Any final thoughts?
If there was anything in this lifetime that your soul wanted you to, I guess, to know and to work on, is releasing all of that judgment of yourself. There are no mistakes. You can't do anything wrong. There are no failures. Like, there's no punishment. Like, so nothing, like some people are like, oh, I'm being punished. No, there's no punishment. And you have such a big team, and they just want you to ask for their help and to get out of your own way.
Yes. And to add to what you said, we are not born in sin. And I think that's another important thought to ponder on and take it
It
forward.
really is, because I know for myself, I was an oops, right? My parents, it was the first time they had sex. It was when they were teenagers, and then they were forced to get married. And for the longest time, I like carried this belief that I wasn't wanted. Right. And of course, then it's the I'm not good enough, right? I wasn't wanted. I was a mistake. Again, nobody's a mistake. It doesn't matter how you came into the planet, right? How you came onto the planet. And I think that's what we're getting back to, is releasing, right? Releasing all of that conditioning so that we can actually feel how divine we are, how loved we are, and just how supported we are. So that would be my ending message, is just, I hope you can I really want you to feel that in your body right now as an energetic transmission that I'm sending to you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, let it come into your heart, like breathe it in.
Thank you very much. And for those who resonate with what Tanya said, please reach out to her. You'll have the link to her website on the description of the video. Tanya, thank you very much one more time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, just wishing you infinite blessings as well.
Thank you. And to my viewers, thank you for watching. Like it, share it. Get a free copy of my book when you visit my website. And until next time, love and gratitude.